At the Regina Food Bank, they always say they wish they didn't have a clientele, but the reality is there are a lot of people in our city that depend on the food bank to get by. Steve Compton is the CEO with the Regina Food Bank. Steve, a few years ago, you started to really track who is using the food bank. What have you learned from that data about who is your clientele?
We have learned a lot. We started a few years ago with something we call an intake process, and what we do is we sit down after a family reaches out to us over the next 2 or 3 visits, and we sit down and we talk about who's in your household, what brought you to the food bank, because generally when people are hungry there's other issues at work. So if it was income security or a sudden illness or loss of a job or whatever it might be. And what it allowed us to do was dig a little deeper, and we were able to break down some facts. We'd often talk about that rent was a big issue with us, and if somebody asked us, well, how many clients, we'd say, well, many. But now we know that 93% of everyone we serve is in some form of rental, social, or bound housing. So it put us in a position where we had much better information and much better understanding what brought people to our door.
Does that change how you operate?
It does, because it allows us to, if we found that there is mobility issues, if there's people that were referred to us through other agencies in the city that might have mobility issues, any kind of impairment, we can work with the partners to go to them as opposed to people coming to us. It gave us a real sense of where hunger was across the city too. So in the neighborhood you would think it was there, it was definitely the highest use, but when we track that across the city and you start to look at the neighborhoods that are affected by this, you start to see that there's a need that spreads across the city beyond some of the most challenged neighborhoods as well.
We saw a difficult provincial budget in the last round. Have you seen any impact in the food bank since that time?
We did. The budget was an interesting process for us. When we first saw it roll out, what our assumption was that as some of the new taxes and changes to some of the support programs and those things took place, that'd be kind of a cumulative effect. And our sense was that we'd start to see more people come to us as a result of that, and we have. We've seen our numbers increase. On average right now we're seeing about 200 new individuals each month over the last 4 months. So while it took a little while maybe for some of those things to affect people as they go through their lives, we are starting to see an impact from that currently.
What are the circumstances that do have people coming to the food bank?
Well, there's income insecurity, in the sense that there's more expenses in money. And one of the things that we like to sit down and drill into a little bit to better understand and better serve is to identify where the costs are, what are the challenges that people are facing, where do they source income. Something like encouraging people to file income taxes. You have someone that says, well, I don't make very much money, what's the benefit of filing taxes? Well, you're eligible for child tax support, GST credits, a whole bunch of things that are available and intended to be there for you, so we can guide people to different solutions and other community partners that work in areas we don't.
Is this information and data able to help influence the government, do you think? And is there some decisions you'd like to see it make around what you guys are able to do and help?
We hope so. What we'd like to do is go position forward saying is how can we be part of the network of solutions, and if there's government supports that exist, or if there's decisions being made on government supports. We've long advocated for an independent food allowance, so it's not just an other expense, because we don't think it is. We're a little biased. But we're also saying that, we have some fact, we have, stories from the front lines, if you will, and the issues that are affecting people. So if there's decisions being made or supports that are there that we maybe aren't aware of, we're not utilizing as much as we could, we'd like to be able to point to some long-term solutions.
Thanks for your time today, Steve.
Thank you.